Welcome to Rare Breed Brotherhood. The price of being different is being misunderstood, but it's a price worth paying. If you're a Sigma male, you already know this. The world has a knack for judging what it doesn't understand. While others blend in or follow the crowd, you stand apart, not because you're trying to, but because that's just who you are. And let's be honest, being different comes with its challenges. People make snap judgments about you, label you, and project their insecurities onto your quiet confidence. They see your independence as arrogance, your silence as judgment, and your solitude as loneliness. But here's the truth. Their opinions don't define you. You're not here to fit into their narrative. You're here to live life on your own terms, embracing your uniqueness unapologetically. This video isn't about explaining yourself to anyone. It's about understanding how the world sees you and using that knowledge to stay true to yourself. Watch till the end, because these insights might just be the fuel you need to keep going. Number 1. You're too mysterious to trust. The world thrives on clarity, predictability, and oversharing. People feel comfortable when they can read someone like an open book, fitting them into neat little categories. But Sigmas, they don't hand out explanations, and they sure don't live their lives seeking anyone's approval. This makes people uneasy. When you don't spill your thoughts, your plans, or your emotions all over the table, they assume there's a hidden agenda. After all, if they can't figure you out, there must be something wrong with you, or so they think. The truth is, being mysterious isn't a strategy. It's just the way Sigmas operate. They value privacy, observe more than they speak, and only reveal what truly matters. But for most people, that restraint feels like a threat. If you're not oversharing, you must be hiding something. If you're not constantly talking, you must be silently judging. This misunderstanding often leads to mistrust. The world doesn't like puzzles it can't solve, and a Sigma male's quiet confidence is one of the hardest puzzles out there. People will fill the gaps in your silence with their own insecurities. They'll label you secretive, detached, or even manipulative, not realizing that your mystery isn't about them at all. It's about protecting your peace, conserving your energy, and focusing on things that truly matter. But here's the thing. The world's mistrust is not your burden to carry. You don't owe anyone an explanation for being yourself. Let them judge. Let them misunderstand. Because at the end of the day, their inability to figure you out says more about their need for control than it does about your character. Being mysterious isn't a flaw. It's proof that you're living life on your terms. Stay that way. Number 2. You're too calculated. Where's the emotion? The world expects emotions to be loud and obvious. Tears, outbursts, grand displays of joy or anger. These are the measures by which people judge how much someone feels. But Sigmas, they don't put their emotions on parade. Instead, they keep them carefully contained, processing everything internally and showing the world only what's necessary. This quiet composure makes people uncomfortable. When they can't see your emotions, they assume you don't have any. Sigmas are often judged as being cold, robotic, or too calculated. People see the way you approach life, measured, strategic, always thinking 10 steps ahead, and mistake it for a lack of feeling. What they don't understand is that your approach isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about managing them. You feel deeply, but instead of letting those feelings control you, you channel them into actions and decisions that matter. This difference throws people off. They're used to emotional transparency, even if it's messy or impulsive. So when they meet someone who can remain calm in the chaos, they don't know how to interpret it. They want visible vulnerability, forgetting that not everyone processes life the same way. But here's the reality. Showing restraint doesn't mean you're emotionless. In fact, it takes more strength to feel deeply and keep your head clear than to let your emotions dictate your every move. You're not robotic. You're in control. You're not cold. You're focused. And those who misjudge you don't see the depth behind your silence, the fire behind your calm. Let them think what they will. You're not here to prove how much you feel to anyone. Your strength lies in knowing when to act on your emotions and when to let them pass. That's not being calculated. It's being in command of yourself. Number 3, you're intimidating without trying. There's something about quiet confidence that unnerves people. In a world where most are constantly seeking approval, validation, or attention, a Sigma's self-assured nature stands out like a lightning bolt in a calm sky. You don't demand attention. You don't try to prove your worth to anyone. And yet, people feel your presence. That's what makes you intimidating. It's not about being loud or overbearing. In fact, it's the opposite. The way you carry yourself, calm, self-contained, unshaken, forces people to look inward, and for many, that's uncomfortable. Your refusal to play the validation game creates a silent mirror, reflecting back their insecurities. They start to wonder, why aren't they trying to impress me? Why don't they care what I think? That unease often morphs into judgment, labeling you as distant, aloof, or even arrogant. What they don't realize is that your confidence isn't about them. It's about you. You've built your identity on your own terms, not on the shifting opinions of others. While they chase approval, you walk your path, unbothered by the noise. But to those who measure their worth by external validation, your independence can feel threatening. The truth is, intimidation is rarely about the person being labeled. It's about the person doing the labeling. Your quiet strength disrupts their comfort zone. It reminds them of the areas in their life where they feel less secure. So they project, disguising their unease as criticism. But here's the thing. It's not your job to shrink yourself so others feel comfortable. If your presence makes them question themselves, so be it. That's on them, not you. Keep walking your path. Intimidation is often just a side effect of being unshakably authentic in a world full of facades. Number 4. You must be arrogant if you're this independent. When you walk through life without leaning on others, people tend to misunderstand your independence. They see you operating in your own lane, solving your problems, and making decisions without consulting the crowd, and their first assumption, arrogance. To them, your self-sufficiency looks like a silent statement. I don't need you because I'm better than you. But the truth is, it's not about anyone else. It's about you. Independence isn't arrogance, it's self-reliance. It's the ability to trust your own instincts, to navigate life without waiting for a safety net to catch you. You're not turning your back on help out of pride. You simply know that the most dependable person you'll ever have in your corner is yourself. Yet the outside world often interprets that as you being dismissive or aloof. They mistake your strength for a superiority complex, never realizing the hard-earned lessons that built it. What people don't see is the effort it takes to stand on your own. Independence isn't about rejecting others. It's about refusing to be dependent. It's about knowing you can handle life, even when no one else is there to step in. But to those who are used to validation-seeking or constant collaboration, your self-reliance can feel like a rejection of their way of life. Let them think what they will. Their assumptions are a reflection of their worldview, not your reality. True independence isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about knowing your worth isn't tied to someone else's approval or assistance. You're not arrogant, you're grounded. And the strength it takes to rely on yourself, even when judged, is something most people will never fully understand. Keep standing tall. Number 5. You think you're too good for social rules. When you refuse to play by society's rules, people are quick to label you. To them, your decision not to conform must mean you think you're better than everyone else. They see you bypassing traditions, questioning authority, or rejecting the so-called right way to live. And instead of understanding, they call you rebellious, or worse, snobbish. But the truth couldn't be further from that. For Sigmas, it's not about being better, it's about being authentic. Blindly following social norms just because they're normal feels pointless. If a tradition or rule doesn't align with your personal values, why pretend it does? You're not rebelling for the sake of rebellion. You're simply unwilling to trade your integrity for approval. To the outside world, this comes across as arrogance, but in reality, it's self-respect. The problem is, most people find comfort in rules. They need the structure, the sense of belonging that comes from doing what everyone else is doing. So when they see someone like you, a Sigma, living outside those boundaries. It challenges their worldview. If you can live freely without those rules, it forces them to ask a tough question. Are these rules really necessary? And that's an uncomfortable thought for anyone clinging to them. But here's the irony. While they may criticize you for rejecting their norms, deep down, many envy the freedom you've created for yourself. They just don't admit it. Your refusal to conform isn't an act of superiority. It's an act of courage. You're living by a code that's uniquely yours, and if that makes people uncomfortable, so be it. You're not here to fit into a mold. You're here to build a life that actually means something to you. Let them judge. You'll keep living your truth. Number 6. You're alone, so you must be lonely. In a world that glorifies constant connection, choosing solitude is often misunderstood. People see you alone and immediately assume loneliness. They project their own fears of being by themselves onto you, convinced that your decision to step away from the crowd must come from pain or struggle. They don't stop to consider that maybe, just maybe, you thrive in your own company. For Sigmas, solitude isn't a sign of sadness, it's a choice. It's not about avoiding people. It's about creating space for clarity, reflection, and growth. When you opt out of group activities or decline an invitation, it's not because you're excluded or left behind. It's because you know where your energy is best spent. You're not chasing meaningless interactions or forcing yourself into spaces where you don't belong, and that's hard for others to grasp. The world equates busyness and socializing with happiness, so when they see someone thriving in their own quiet space, it feels unnatural to them. They assume you're hiding, struggling, or waiting for someone to rescue you from your solitude. They can't see that for you being alone isn't about isolation, it's about liberation. What they don't realize is that solitude isn't empty for you, it's full of purpose. It's where you recharge, strategize, and recalibrate. It's where you rediscover yourself without the noise of other people's expectations. Being alone isn't lonely. It's where you find your strength. Let them believe what they want. Their misunderstanding is rooted in their need for constant validation and distraction. Meanwhile, you'll keep thriving in your solitude, proving that being alone doesn't mean being incomplete. It means being whole in a way most people will never understand. Number 7. Your silence feels like judgment. Silence has a way of making people uneasy. In a world where words are often thrown around to fill the gaps, someone who chooses to observe rather than speak is seen as an anomaly. For Sigmas, silence isn't about judgment, it's about conserving energy for conversations that matter. But to others, that quiet detachment feels like a spotlight exposing their insecurities. When you don't engage in surface-level chatter, people start to overanalyze your silence. They assume you're dissecting their every word or silently critiquing them. In reality, you're just choosing not to speak for the sake of speaking. You're not interested in meaningless noise. And that disinterest is often mistaken for arrogance or disapproval. The truth is, your silence has nothing to do with them. It's about staying authentic to yourself. But most people aren't used to this. They equate participation with approval and silence with condemnation. If you're not nodding along, laughing, or contributing to the conversation, they assume you're casting some invisible verdict. What they don't realize is that you're simply observing, taking in the room, and deciding whether or not the interaction is worth your energy. This misunderstanding often says more about them than it does about you. Their discomfort stems from their own self-doubt, not from anything you've done. Your silence doesn't judge, it reflects. And in that reflection they see what they're afraid of, the gaps in their confidence, the emptiness of their words, or the effort they put into impressing others. Let them misinterpret your quiet. Your silence is your strength, a space where you think, observe, and remain true to yourself. You're not here to reassure anyone with empty words. Your silence isn't a verdict, it's freedom from the noise. Number 8. You're a loner, so you must be antisocial. For most people, the idea of preferring your own company over a crowded room is baffling. They assume that if you're not constantly seeking out social events or group activities, there must be something wrong with you. Sigmas, by this logic, get slapped with the label antisocial, as if their choice to step back from the noise is some kind of defect. But the reality couldn't be more different. You're not antisocial, you're selectively social. You know how to turn on the charm, hold a conversation, and even steal the show when it matters. The difference is, you don't feel the need to do it all the time. Socializing, for you, isn't about filling a void or seeking validation. It's about quality over quantity. You're not avoiding people because you dislike them. You're just deliberate about who gets your time and energy. The world often confuses constant engagement with sociability, but being social is about connection, not performance. Sigmas don't see the point in shallow interactions or endless small talk just to prove they can fit in. They'd rather invest in meaningful relationships or spend time in solitude recharging and reflecting. When people label you as antisocial, it's usually because your choices make them uncomfortable. Your independence challenges the idea that constant interaction is necessary for happiness. They see your solitude and assume it's loneliness. They see your selective engagement and misinterpret it as disinterest. What they fail to grasp is that your ability to be alone is a strength, not a weakness. You're not antisocial, you're intentional. While others exhaust themselves trying to be everything to everyone, you conserve your energy for what truly matters. Let them judge. Your peace isn't up for debate. Number 9. You don't play the game, so you must hate the players. In a world driven by competition, politics, and social hierarchies, not playing the game often leads to misinterpretation. Sigmas are seen as outsiders because they avoid power struggles, office politics, and social cliques. To others, this detachment feels like disdain or judgment. They assume you dislike or judge the people involved, that you must hate the players because you refuse to engage in the game. But the truth is, it's not about hatred, it's about discernment. You don't waste your energy on battles that don't serve you. Office politics, petty power plays, and superficial socializing are distractions, and you've simply chosen not to invest in them. You're not standing on the sidelines to criticize. You're stepping away because you value your time, peace, and integrity too much to play along. Most people operate within the confines of social competition, seeking validation through promotions, alliances, or popularity. They see your refusal to compete and interpret it as rejection or judgment. But what they fail to realize is that your silence isn't a judgment, it's a boundary. You're not here to tear anyone down, you're here to build something meaningful for yourself. Sigmas aren't indifferent, they're intentional. Your lack of participation doesn't stem from a dislike for others, but rather a refusal to lose yourself in a game that doesn't align with your values. Let them think what they will. Your peace is worth more than their approval. Number 10. You're too neutral. Pick a side already. Neutrality is a trait often misunderstood. For many, picking a side in a conflict seems like a necessary part of life, an expectation to show loyalty, take a stand, or align with a particular group. But for Sigmas, neutrality isn't a sign of apathy or weakness. It's a conscious choice, a refusal to get caught up in drama that doesn't serve a greater purpose. To those around you, your lack of clear allegiance can feel frustrating. They assume you're avoiding confrontation because you're afraid or incapable of standing firm. They label you as indifferent, even cowardly, when in reality, your neutrality stems from a deeper understanding. You don't waste energy fighting battles that won't change anything or align with your values. People thrive on certainty, especially in emotionally charged situations. They expect everyone to pick a side, even when the conflict is petty or insignificant. But for Sigmas, neutrality is about clarity, about recognizing when to step back and preserve your focus for matters that truly matter. It's not about avoiding the fight, but choosing when and where to invest your energy. What others misinterpret as apathy is really wisdom in action. You understand that not every issue is worth your involvement. By remaining neutral, you keep your integrity intact and avoid falling into the trap of shallow allegiances. Let them think what they will. Your peace of mind is more important than external validation. As I wrap up, in a world that often values conformity and external validation, being a Sigma male can feel like navigating a constant stream of judgments and misunderstandings. From being seen as mysterious to cold or too independent to emotionally distant, it's easy to feel isolated in a society that expects you to fit a mold. But the truth is, these judgments are superficial. They stem from a lack of understanding, not from who you truly are. Sigmas aren't here to conform to what others expect. You're driven by your own values, your own vision for success, and your own understanding of what matters. You don't need to seek validation from those who only see surface-level actions. Your strength lies in your authenticity and the clarity you bring to your life. Your ability to observe, analyze, and remain true to yourself isn't a weakness. It's your power. You don't engage in unnecessary drama or mindless competition because you understand that your energy is better spent on what truly matters. Whether it's detachment, independence, or quiet confidence, every trait that others misunderstand serves a purpose in your journey to growth and self-fulfillment. So, keep moving forward with strength and grace. Embrace your uniqueness, knowing that those who judge you from the outside will never fully grasp the depth of who you are. You're not meant to fit into their expectations. You're here to define your own path. Stay true, stay grounded, and trust in the process. The world's perceptions will shift when they truly understand the power of a Sigma mind. See you in our next video. God bless you.